17-year-old Carmelo Anthony was silent after bonding out of the Collin County Jail and being placed on house arrest.
How is this self-defense?
2 days after the family of Austin Metcalf buried their son, they were at the Collin County Courthouse for a bond reduction hearing Monday. Carmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing and killing Metcalf at a Frisco track.
The way that this story is unfolding really has me uneasy, for the simple fact that I feel like there's some sort of concerted effort or even an agenda to create real racial tension, right? That's just how I feel about it. I feel like this is basically the inciting of a race war, because ain't no damn way. Now, for those y'all who didn't know, Carmelo over here, the suspect, has officially been released on bond for $25,000. The bond was originally set for $1 million. Then, thanks to activist judge over here, it was decreased to $250,000, which you only have to pay 10%. So there goes your $25,000. And that basically means he gets to wait at home in the comfort and the luxuries of whatever his home life is like, as opposed to being locked up somewhere waiting on his trial. Now, do I think that this was a correct verdict? In my honest opinion, no, because he proved himself to be a threat, to be somebody who is dangerous. That was the nature of this crime. It's as simple as that. You know, oftentimes they won't let you out on bond if they think you're going to escape or be a hazard to somebody else. In this situation, he could be a hazard to somebody else. However, the worst part for me was the fact that this activist judge has now been placed on this case, right? And this is somebody who was quoted as saying things such as this.
Now when we can have, summer interns come up and they are every race, creed, color, gender, but they can see someone that looks like them on the bench. I think that is so beneficial because it's representation. And when they look at me, young kids, law students, whoever it is, I want them to say, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Now, most of the situations, that sort of message would not matter. However, in the context of this case right here, that shows us everything we need to know about the sort of trial we're about to see in front of us. Folks, there is already a bias built into this thing, and I am deeply afraid that this is going to end up in the way that I'm already projecting out. I really hope that there is just a jury of peers who are going to be honest and fair, as well as evidence presented, and that's it, right? More specifically, the evidence that will speak for itself. Because we already know that this judge, basically, she's sold on what she believes in and who she stands with.
That young black boy would have killed another black boy at a track meet. We wouldn't hear about it. There would be no GoFundMe. There would be no, we need to stand with him. It's because he killed a white kid. And it's a race war underneath the surface of our country, mostly projected by black people against white folks. So when a black kid do something wrong, black people rally around the kid that did something wrong because they don't want the white boy to be right. They don't want white people to be right. They don't want white people to be on television saying that this black kid is a thug. They don't care that the black kid, I think that some of them do care, but I think that they're avoiding the point that the black kid actually took the life of somebody unnecessarily. Let me give you a couple factors here, which will bolster the legal argument that I have. I do believe that Carmelo Anthony will be found guilty if he goes to court. I think he's going to do a plea deal because he knows he's dead to rights. His attorneys know he's dead to rights. According to Texas State Penal Code, he will go to jail and be sentenced probably more harshly than he would if he do a plea deal. I think he's going to do a plea deal, and I think in the plea deal, they're going to give him manslaughter charges, and he's only going to do 5 or 8 years in prison, which is a travesty. If he goes to trial, this is how he loses. Unequivocally. In the state of Texas, they charged him with first-degree murder. First-degree murder is when you murder somebody intentionally or knowingly causing the death of another person. That's subsection 1. Subsection 2 is intending to cause serious bodily injury and commit an act clearly dangerous to human life that results in somebody's death. They got him on the first statute because he knowingly and intentionally decided to poke the boy in the heart with a knife. The second statutory claim here, which they can get him on as well, is intending to cause serious bodily injury. If you didn't intend to kill the guy, but you should know that stabbing somebody in the heart could cause serious damage, serious bodily injury to that person, and is clearly negligent and it's dangerous to human life. They got him again. Here's another one. Commit or attempt to commit a felony other than manslaughter, during which they perform an act clearly dangerous to human life that causes death. Let me add to how that's a problem. Because carrying a weapon on a school campus is a felony offense. No, it's a misdemeanor offense. Let's go down to the law, because I want y'all to see this very clearly. If you go down to Texas law, it says that it's a knife blade exception, right? If it's 55 inches or shorter, generally speaking, it could be used or be in a public place. However, there is restrictions as to where this can be presented. It says right here, let me go up a little bit. I'll go down here. It says violating these restrictions can lead to criminal charges with penalties varying.
They are big mad. Oh my goodness. So what we are witnessing right now is the coon force, because the coon force is out in full force right now. And for those of you who may not be aware, the coon force is nothing more than a bunch of mediocre. Their prime objective is to defend white people at all costs. So when you get stories like Carmelo Anthony, this is where they make their money. This is how they make their living. And regardless of what the context is of the story, their primary focus, like I said, is to defend white people. So they will belittle, they will, castigate, they will deride, they will, do anything in their power to frame the black person, whether they're a victim or not, as the bad person. They are the bad guy. And that's what we're witnessing right now. Kudos to him. If you haven't supported his Go Send Me, I would definitely check that out. They are now screaming and crying about, you guessed it, black people. That's what they're doing. It's a playbook as old as time. It's very much goes back to mandatory manumission, where they reward black people for snitching on possible rebellions and revolts and individuals who wanted freedom. This now is a business, and it's a business that is highly promoted from the right. We see such individuals as Candace Owens, Brandon Tantrum, Rob Bushy Smith, and the rest of them. And I find it very interesting, the stuff that they're saying. First and foremost, you have Brandon Tantrum. Now, the reason why we call him Tantrum is that the veneer of his, I'm one of the good ones, happened to fall apart when Hotep Jesus, pushed some buttons. And then all of a sudden, the ignorant came out. Now, that being said, he comes out and says, what's going on with black people? Why are they supporting this guy? He's going to be found guilty, yada, 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 yada. The issue that I find, because it's always funny when, an officer of 6 years try to give his faux understanding of the law, because most officers don't understand the law. They understand how to utilize the law to arrest you. That's the extent of their law. But when it comes down to it, his presumption of his whole display is based off of the belief that he believes that Anthony stabbed this person in the heart intentionally. There's no data, there's no evidence, there's no facts and evidence, as I say, that leads to that conclusion, aside from black person bad, right? That's all there is. That's what they run off. We've seen this time and time again. When it comes to Breonna Taylor, he's tried to do the same thing. When it comes to George Floyd, he's tried to do the same thing. When it comes to a litany of people, okay, Trayvon Martin, the list goes on, unfortunately. This is what they do.
I miss you like a hog miss fly.
Now, I will say the only thing that I see that they may get him on is with the knife. From what I've read, it's been a pocket knife, and the pocket knife is legal under state Texas code, but in school grounds, it's illegal. So they may get him on that. But he can be found guilty of I think it's like a misdemeanor.
White people, I'm sorry to say, this is y'all fault that this whole Carmelo Anthony incident even happened in the first place. First of all, y'all need to give Carmelo Anthony an apology. Anybody that feel like he was wrong, y'all need to give that young man an apology, because all he was doing was defending himself, and now he had to go through the trauma of taking somebody's life to defend himself. Now he got to deal with all this backlash that he doesn't even deserve. Now, first of all, I know it's really hard to grasp this, right? But all black men, we don't all wear bonnets. We don't all wear dresses. We don't all wear purses. We don't all wear mercy. We don't all sell out our people just so we can make quick money. We're not all feminine. All black men are not docile, passive, that y'all like to put in the media and pacify these black men by giving them money in exchange for their masculinity. All black men are not willing to sell out their masculinity in order to get bread, in order to push agendas. All black men are not like that, okay? Y'all been teaching your young Euro children that y'all can just basically walk up to black people, and Euros can do whatever they want to black people people without there being any consequence. And I'm pretty sure these children thought in their mind, well, we're bigger, we're white, we can do whatever we want to him, and there's not going to be consequences. And look what happened in the process. This young man had to lose his life and be made an example out of in order to put your ego in check. That's basically what happened. These young men had huge egos. They were known bullies, and they went up and tried to bully the wrong black child because they probably assumed that just because they had the upper hand, they were able to just treat and talk to this young black man like anything. And look what happened. So really, this is y'all fault. You know what happened here? Arrogance. Arrogance is what made this happen. Arrogance is why that young man lost his life. Carmelo Anthony, he was simply protecting himself. As simple as that.
Not the usual suspects being mad that Carmelo Anthony was released. Like, these people want to see a black kid in jail so bad that they're willing to disregard that he's even a child in the first place. But that should let you know the real nature behind these people, man. It sucks because it's not all of them that act like this. It's just a simple fact that the ones that do are the loudest. They the most prevalent. And it's the same thing from our community. Certain types of people from our community are just simply the loudest and the most prevalent. Therefore, they are allowed to paint the whole entire narrative about our community, even if it's false about us. But at the end of the day, I've had enough comments under my videos from the usual suspects to allude that majority of y'all are most definitely racist. You guys do not want to look at the fact. You don't want to consider none of the actual details of this story. You just see a black kid stabbing a white kid. Now all of a sudden he needs to go and rot in jail for life? No. If y'all this mad about him being released, imagine when he's innocent.
What I've noticed is that white people do not like the fact that Carmelo Anthony is getting the same type of treatment that a young white teen would get. They can't stand it. That's where this all is stemming from. Because they now are creating a rally, talking about protect white lives from black people. When the fuck? Y'all